All right, good morning, guys. How are you today? Um, I see here about in the wake of those deportation proceedings for a lot of people, there is a lot of claims about Trump and his race views. I'm not going to talk about it actually about specific this thing, but I will talk about much deeper situation that it's currently in the United States. I call it neighborhood displacement. What it is when over the last couple of decades, for sure, like the policy is to mix as much as possible neighborhoods to become more diverse. And some people are not exactly happy about it. And this is what it is. And Trump ain't one of those people who will help whites in this aspect. The reason is really simple. It's because it's already went too far, and they accuse Trump. That he wants to make America white again, but it's not. He wants to make America that was in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, before the immigration law was changed and European immigration was de facto mostly stopped in favor of other continents and different races, of course. But as I say again, I'm not going to touch on the question of immigration, but I will talk about neighborhoods. And I will show only one example here in Atlanta, Georgia, and that created displacement of entire neighborhood. And the white people, by the way, because they were stopped of exercising the de facto the democracy by itself. There was a gentleman under the name of White. Well, I don't know if coincidence or not, but he was here in Atlanta. He's a New York gentleman from, actually he worked for Trump organization a long time ago. And he arrived here in Atlanta, and he wanted to separate area of Buckhead to become Buckhead town. City, I don't know, it's going to be city because it's too little, but town, it would be nice. He wanted to incorporate Buckhead and separate the taxes from the entire tax pool of Atlanta, Georgia. Buckhead, 40% of the entire taxes, this is where they come from. They come from Buckhead because there's a massive real estate and expensive private properties. Governor lives here. A lot of senators from Georgia in Georgia Parliament and Congress in Washington, D.C., they live in this neighborhood. And what happened is there was a massive increase of crime. The Fulton County, there was daily murders of one, but sometimes it was like 2-3 days you have a murder 2-3 times, and then one murder a week. So you have, okay, let's take just one murder a week. It's 52 murders a year just in Fulton County, close to Buckhead. So the real estate properties and start dropping the prices. So the Buckhead residents decided, let's vote and separate from Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to take our 40% of the entire Atlanta budget and we're going to spend it ourselves. We will hire police officers. We will pay more time for a helicopter fly around and do patrols and so on and so on. And unfortunately, with the strong power of black mayor of Atlanta, Andrew Dickens, they did not achieve their goal. I'm talking about the separation people. And not just that, the governor of Georgia de facto killed the democracy here in Atlanta by saying that if somebody decides to separate Buckhead and make it a city, he will, because first they have to do a voting on it, so he will veto any bill related to this separation. So de facto he said to people, I don't care what you think and what you want, I will veto whatever your will is. So remember that the secret ballot is the biggest form of democracy in general. And the governor in this particular case said, no, I don't care what you think. I will simply veto whatever you voted for. Okay. So how the displacement works? You see, 88% until last year, a couple of years ago, the statistics, 88% of Buckhead are whites. And as I said, there was unbelievable crime. And there was one murder of an elderly woman that was so terrifying that people said, well, we had enough. And but yet, as I said, what their goal was simply to take their own money, their own tax money, and hire another 100, like minimum 100 or 150 officers. Because the Buckhead is the size of San Francisco, about 110,000 people, and they needed 300 or 350. They wanted to make to hire police officers on the beat, just patrolmen, as I said, helicopter and fast reaction team, SWAT team. And not just that, they wanted to do their own ambulance services. I was doing a video because my mother's death, partially I contribute to lack of ambulance services that provide in Buckhead. If you have a relative that was dying and there is insufficient ambulance services, it will contribute to the person's death, even though not directly, but indirectly. There is a whole bunch of stuff that it's added to it. So what happened? They stopped the possibility of people of Buckhead to take their own money and protect themselves with their own taxes. Okay? And some people stopped buying the Buckhead properties, start losing values. They have problems selling. My own apartment was selling for a very long time. I couldn't not sell. As I said, I'm losing it now. But not just that, the real estate, commercial real estate, it's dropping as well. As I said, I worked until recently for a company called Allied Universal Security, and I was a supervisor at the Piedmont Center. And Piedmont Center, it's here, business center in northwest Atlanta, where we live here in Buckhead. And they had massive drop of tenants. There was a company called Cushman in Wickfield. It was running the show, and not just that, they had the ownership was of Ardent. They had a lot of, you just can see walking around through the buildings. It was 14 buildings. You see, today there is somebody there and people are laughing, going do business, going buy lunches and come back. And then you come back in the month and you see the office is empty completely. There's no furniture, there's nothing. Sometimes some of the floors become empty. Of course, it's not all the crime, but this area is becoming shitty. Let's put it directly. And one of the reasons is because it's displacement. The governor, not governor, I'm talking about, I'm sorry, government, I apologize. But government currently wants to mix neighborhoods. More and more to mix neighborhoods to become, in a way, diversity completed. But it doesn't work this way because overall people stay with their own people. For instance, if you go to church like you go for instance, you go your own church, you stay with your own people. Because United States is about partial separation. You do not, if you don't like to affiliate yourself with a group, it doesn't mean that you do something bad to them, but if you don't like to have anything to do with them, you stay away. And this is, for instance, churches are examples. You go into churches and you socialize with your own kind, okay? The same thing with neighborhoods. You don't want to live in a neighborhood if it starts turning into ghetto. And not just that, you know the diversity programs for mortgage, for HUD, the Housing Urban Development Company, government. So what they do, they will, de facto, some people who would move in your neighborhood will have more points paid by the government. They'll have some kind of a government help in order to move, in order to create diversity in this type of neighborhood. So de facto, they do displacement of your own people on their own taxpayers' expense. So it means, for instance, people pay taxes to the government from their own properties and from their own labor, and then the government takes those money and give it to somebody else to move into your neighborhood and displace you out of it. There we go. So, that's what it is. As I said, the death of my mother was partially contributed to lack of services that Buckhead had. And if Buckhead would have separated, my mother would still be possibly alive. And this is unfortunately created by the city government of Atlanta, which is the Andrew Dickens himself. He is a black mayor who, by the way, before he became a mayor, he voted for defunding the police. See what I mean? And now he's going to run in 2026. I wouldn't give a shit by then because I'll be gone in a few days. As I said, I have time to remove my car by 5 p.m. on Monday. And I still can be able to access my apartment, but I'm not being able to because I'll be out of state by then. I have to leave. But the dispossession of white people can be created through tax diversion, and this is what happened in Buckhead. And you know what Trump did? This Mr. White, whoever was the leader of this movement to separate Buckhead, instead of sending this guy back and help, he sends him as a U.S. ambassador to Belgium. U.S. ambassador to Belgium was, in the past, was like exile. One of the Utah people, very famous Utah person, his name was Coral Logos, from Salt Lake Tribune editor. He was sent a long time ago. He was an ambassador to Belgium, because it's not just ambassador to Belgium; it's a very close relationship with the European Union, because of government of European Union. So that's what it is. Trump is not going to fix racial situations until he fixes tax and living displacement of race relations. Let's put it this way: people don't want to live in a ghetto, and people like me, when I start talking about my mother's death, I was forced of everything, and I'm losing everything. But I lost it in the beginning, because in the beginning the way I see my entrapment, the impulse technology of my father, I was kind of doomed in the morning. From the beginning, I call it in the morning, like in the morning of the day you wake up and you know that this is fucked up. You cannot do anything anymore. And this is what happened to me. But with them those are deliberate long-term programs that people have in order to destroy neighborhoods like mine. Well, I have two neighborhoods. It was Holiday, Mill Creek. We lived 30 years in Salt Lake City, Utah. And second neighborhood I had here in Atlanta, Georgia, Buckhead, was dear to me. And the Buckhead area, we had our apartment here for 21 years. And so we had Georgia and Utah. For me, it's really important. But you know, funny part is, you know, Saint George, the saint, is patron saint in Utah as well. You know, the Russian church there, it's Saint George Russian Church, and here's the state is named after the George II, the king of England, and of course, who is named after George, Saint George. But Saint George, I don't honestly. Saint George, it's here. It's almost invisible. The state of Georgia in the United States, it's not run by religion. They're run like by masonry. Masonry connected to Africa, and any type of religion expression of Christianity. It's not working here. Anyway, I hope you got my message here. Thank you. I will do today several videos. You have a good evening.